What's up, Brady? Let's welcome everybody to this week's episode of Creative Marketing, where we're going to talk about our good friend Kristen's business and the strategies we're implementing to help grow it.
Revolutionary wellness.
Man, it's a revolution of creative marketing, and we have some tricks up our sleeve of stuff that's really been working and stuff that we pivoted from that was supposed to be working and really didn't work. So,
Yeah, man, content's always an experiment because as soon as you start to get it nailed down and you think you have everything right, an algorithm changes or something goes on and you have to pivot. So it's always
yep.
a work in progress for
Yeah,
sure.
I think you said it there. It's a game of pivoting. And if you fail to adapt, you die in any part of business. So even knowing that in content, like you think content is like, oh, when I hit it on YouTube, I got it. Like it's not that way at all. It's literally about knowing the trend, being okay with being a part of the trends, but knowing that you're going to sprinkle your own little bit of magic on what you do to set yourself apart from others in the trend, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And you have to play with what's working and then just adapt
Hmm.
it to whatever your style is and what your brand stands for. And man, YouTube, it's interesting. Like we kind of talked about shorts before, but they're trying to be
Hmm.
more of a social platform. Like I feel like everything is getting TikTokified to some extent. So we have
Dude.
to play with that even on YouTube.
Yeah, and I mean that's the trend with YouTube right now. And even Gary Vee put this in the last video that I watched, and he said like YouTube Shorts are the way to go right now. It is essentially the new TikTok, and I want to say YouTube almost like said, "Hey, TikTok blew up because of this potential. We're going to bring it to our platform." And something that we were doing with Kristen's brand before, where we were doing long form content because YouTube loved long form content, and we even like found our little pocket. Right, we were doing like 7 minute episodes and they were good podcasts, but then we realized this potential with the shorts, and it's insane to see how we're delivering those micro messages on YouTube, but the subscriber count is going up quicker than the long form, which is ironic.
Yeah, man, it's fun to play with though. And it's very funny. I know I've talked to you about this before, but
Hmm.
it's the clips on shorts where you try too hard that don't pop. But the ones
It,
you think nothing of, you don't even mess with doing a description. You just give a very simple, straightforward title. It drops some sort of nugget in there. It takes off. That's how it goes.
yeah. And I think, I mean, I saw that with my personal brand when I did this thing called Knowledge Bombs. I took stuff that was on Instagram not doing too well, and then on YouTube Shorts, like it was just hitting continuously. And then the subscriber count was going up more than the cool videos were. And I'm like, what's going on? And it was so simple and so easy to create that I was like, I almost had like imposter syndrome. I was like, why is this working?
I know. It's like, man, this is dumb. I could just be saving myself endless hours of
Mhm.
this great content and just slapping up something that takes a fraction of the time that's going to give me better results.
Yeah, when we talk about value based too, so in those longer episodes, we were putting out a ton of value, right? Like, I mean, we were throwing in knowledge on knowledge on knowledge for about 7 to 9 minutes, and now people are wanting these like 60-second how to, whether they want to engage and discredit, I guess, ain't what is the disagree with you,
Yeah.
or they want the knowledge and they take it and they run with it.
Yeah. And it's funny. I think we should just get into it now. I know in this first part of this episode, where it's a little bit
Mhm.
of a two-parter. We'll get into more
Mhm.
Revel stuff next week even, but we're going to talk more on the strategy side at first here. I I still have wondered over the past couple of months. So just to give a little more backstory, we've pivoted a little bit from doing that, give or take 10 minutes, like 7 to 8 minutes was really the sweet spot of our podcast. It was really a sit down conversation. And
Mhm.
we get a lot of organic views from these YouTube shorts, but still part of me is like, man, for the loyal people that come in and watch, do they
Yeah.
deserve having some longer content to watch?
Mhm.
Um, so it's kind of a thing I've wrestled with a little bit, but of course we have to also consider what the platforms are allowing us to perform with and take that into huge consideration as well.
Yeah, you bring up a good point because before we were actually doing the long form content and then micro bidding, probably like 3 to 4 clips per episode. which honestly isn't a bad tactic to even have, because then you're given the micro clip that could attract to the bigger clip. But no matter what, you're generating those views and those traction towards the longer content. Because like we talk a lot about personal branding, and a lot of the people out there in personal branding will say like you got to do longer form content to create the name in personal branding. Then it gives you the accreditation to do the short form content that people get the value from quicker.
Absolutely. And I think having a mix of both is probably the route to
Mhm.
go, in all honesty. And the other side of this too, though, for what we do in the health and wellness space for Kristen and revolutionary wellness, there are only so many topics you can cover.
For
In
sure.
over 2 years, we covered everything at least once, if not two, three times in different formats. So
Yep.
we were due for a mix up in one way or another. So I definitely am not necessarily trying to get back to the same sit down format,
Yeah.
but I am wondering a little bit if, and maybe this is the idea, and I'd be interested in actually screen sharing this if we wanted to do that here in a second. But what I would be interested in testing is when we have Kristen in some of these more casual settings, like, we have her on the couch, like casual Q&A questions, like things the fans might want to know. What if we let her elaborate a little longer and
Hmm.
get some of those, maybe even if it's like 3 minutes, not even necessarily like a full podcast clip, but we have a little bit more back and forth. And then from there, I can turn that into 3 YouTube shorts.
Yeah. Well, and it's something as the person who films Kristen is, she gets a little like if we're talking in a conversation, she can knowledge bomb all day. But as soon as she's under camera pressure, sometimes she gives this short answer that cuts. And I'm like, where's the elaboration? Like you're just talking my ear off on your couch to how important this was. And then you just cut it off in a sentence here. So I think I've been thinking about this too. It's almost like how could we pretty much turn on the camera and then get her in conversation, but have her talk to the camera instead of one of us through the camera, you know?
That's what I'm wondering too. And I think she did such a great job when it was a sit down, us three. There's not all the pressure on her to put out this
Mm-hmm.
highlight clip. So I'm wondering if I could even get in the mix and get back on camera or be slightly off camera, and we have some sort of back and forth to get her a little more comfortable. And
Mm-hmm.
then we have a longer clip to work with also. And it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and as somebody who makes content like this, I learned with the knowledge bombs, it was more of gosh, because it's so hard to sometimes do instructional videos when you're talking. Because in a conversation, you're cueing me to inform you subconsciously about this, that, and so and such. And then if I get a little off track, you can say, oh, no, that wasn't quite it. I meant more of this. And it guides you. And sometimes when you're creating this content, you know exactly what to say. But then when you're teaching it, you almost get like, you're like, well, kind of lost myself there. Where was I? Because you're kind of talking to nothing, you know?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
different.
exactly. And you're more like talking at your audience instead of like to your audience. It's a little bit
Mhm.
of preachy, which is kind of uncomfortable for anybody. I mean, we're not,
For
most of us
sure.
aren't pastors up there with a trained ministry background preaching to the choir.
Oh, I
So,
got one of those.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's tough. And I mean, we could go on a side tangent too about working with clients to get them comfortable on camera. It's a whole thing, really. It's an
For
art.
sure.
It's not like a lot of them have been trained for this sort of thing, but you just have to teach them up to it, give them confidence, and
Yep. Man,
editing magic helps too.
quick side note, I got to work with three people who are on HGTV shows this past 2 weeks. Incredible. The amount of time that it took to shoot was nothing. I didn't have to, they were more teaching me than I was like coaching them. And I'm just like over here, like, I got to make sure I push the red button. Like, this is really important this week.
Love
It
that.
was incredible. And that talent, they have a really I to go kind of in expansion of what you were saying, like they're really good at engaging the audience with what they're saying. Instead of preaching, they're teaching, they're engaging, and they're expanding on what they want to share in a way that like you feel involved rather than talked to is really cool. So
Yeah, no, it's an art to talk with your audience instead of at them.
mhm.
It's
Yeah.
It's subtle, but it's there.
Hmm.
It's interesting. Do you want to screen share some stuff?
Yeah, let's screen share. Let's see what you got cooking.
All right, allow me to screen share and then I will screen share.
How do I do that? Oh, multiple.
You
There
click
we go.
that little bottom next to
There you
screen.
go. You can screen share now.
Fantastic.
Look at that. He
So
just
we're-
wanted access to my screen sharing.
yeah, that's all I needed. So we're actually digging into Revolutionary Wellness's YouTube now, a little bit of behind the scenes. I'm not going to show you too much because of client confidentiality, but anyway, here we can look at some recent shorts that have gone up, 1,200 views, 1,000 views, 500, 200, and then some that didn't get a whole lot at all. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a mix. So I'm curious to hear what
What
your
are,
thoughts are of why some of these have hit or not.
what
For
are the
example,
title? What are the titles of the ones that have hit? Do they have a commonality? That's what I always look for. Like,
yeah, yeah.
what are vitality oils? What is the other one? Uses tips to stay hydrated. Hmm. I don't know. Listen, can you click on the video? Can we watch them?
Sure. Yeah, we can
Because
take
I
it.
wonder if it's something with how she engages. That tends to be, I can't even describe it on some of the shorts that go off. It's like there's just a sense of confidence with the way it's spoken.
Yeah, for sure. I know it'll let us play at least the start here. Sometimes it pauses from the screen, but
Hey Kristen, how do I stay hydrated throughout the day?
So try this. Carry a water bottle with you throughout the day and try to sip from it every few minutes. And then as you're going throughout the day, you can refill it so that you're continually working towards your goal of half of your body weight in ounces every single day of water.
boom, short, 20 seconds,
Short, sweet, straight to the point.
straight to the point, informational.
I
Nice tip.
wonder, I wonder if that's part of it because they're so short, they're straight to the point. People watch them for a longer duration, which I know like feeds the algorithm. That one's 33 seconds. Are the other ones longer that have less views?
Absolutely. Most of them aren't long at all. I think they're pretty similar, but yeah, let's take a
Mhm.
look here. I mean, this one's 44 seconds that didn't hit as well, so it is a little longer.
Mhm.
Let's grab this guy here. 37.
37.
So, pushing it
I
a
wonder if
little
there's
bit
something
here.
in the algorithm too, the shorts. The shorter you keep them, I wonder if it pops in the algorithm more.
In some of these too, I'm posing the question at the start of it. So it's almost
Mhm.
like there's a question from the audience and then she's
Yeah,
answering it back. So there's a little more engagement with some of those. I know the first couple we watched had those,
very
which
interesting.
kind of brings me back to what I was talking about earlier of me getting more involved with this shoot and having a little more back and forth.
Yeah.
And that will do it for content strategy, which is part one, discussing revolutionary wellness. Lots more to talk about in episode 2 of this topic. We'll get into more of the tactics of things. We'll see you next week.